I walked into the banquet hall, heels echoing on polished marble, the soft buzz of conversation washing over me like warm champagne. Everyone was there. Cousins in designer dresses, uncles in tailored suits, the scent of money and roses thick in the air. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light on clinking glasses and glittering smiles. It was a celebration, a family reunion, a display of love and success. Everyone was welcome, except me. I stood there for a moment, awkward in my simple navy dress, clutching my purse like a lifeline. No one turned. No one smiled. A few eyes flicked toward me but quickly looked away, as if my presence might stain their joy. A waiter, clearly briefed on how to handle me, gestured with a tight smile. "Miss Jocelyn, your seat is this way." He led me past the long central table covered in white linen and silver cutlery. I passed Madeline, resplendent in a backless emerald gown, surrounded by admirers. Her laughter rose like champagne bubbles. She didn't see me, or chose not to. My seat was at a small side table. It wasn't even fully set. The tablecloth was slightly stained, and instead of a name card like everyone else had, those elegant ivory tags with gold calligraphy, there was a paper napkin. My name, Jocelyn, written in blue ballpoint pen. I sat down slowly, the seat creaking under me. From here, the grand chandelier looked like a spotlight I was excluded from. The light didn't quite reach my corner. It smelled faintly of cleaning solution, and the swinging door to the nearby restroom hissed open every few minutes. Aubrey, my cousin, passed by. She offered me a small smile, tight-lipped, apologetic. Then she glanced around and scurried away without saying anything. Typical. I remembered what Mom used to say when we were little. "Don't overshadow your sister, Jocelyn. Madeline needs her moment to shine." I always tried, but apparently trying wasn't enough. The murmurs and laughter continued like I wasn't even there. I watched Madeline glide through the room like a queen, collecting compliments like petals in her palm. She spotted me eventually. Her lips curled into that signature smirk. "Oh, good," she said loudly. "We won't have to spend much on dessert tonight." The table around her erupted in laughter. Even the waiter chuckled softly before disappearing behind the curtain. I looked toward Mom. She sat next to Madeline, beaming like the proud mother of a pageant winner. When she heard the joke, her smile faltered slightly. But then she looked down and sipped her wine, pretending not to have heard. I didn't say anything. What would be the point? My eyes wandered around the room, catching the gleam of silver trays, the flicker of candlelight against champagne flutes. For a moment, I saw a reflection of myself in the mirrored column, poised, distant, and out of place. They didn't know. They didn't know I wasn't here to beg for scraps. I wasn't here because I missed them. I was here because something had shifted. Not in them. In me. Madeline rose, lifting her glass high. "I just wanted to say," she began, her voice commanding the entire hall, "how grateful I am for the support of this amazing family. And to Mom, thank you for trusting me with the family future. The real estate gift means so much. I'll make sure it's used wisely." There were cheers and scattered applause. Mom dabbed her eyes with a napkin, one made of cloth. I smiled. Just a little. Not enough to be noticed, but enough to feel it. The land Madeline was bragging about? I bought it. Quietly. Legally. Fully. Every square inch. She didn't know yet. Neither did Mom. But they would. I didn't need to speak. Not today. Not while they toasted with ignorance and praised a gift that wasn't hers to give. Because what I brought tonight wasn't a bouquet or a blessing. It was ownership. And this time, I wouldn't be written off on a napkin. Not ever again. I'm not angry anymore. Not in the way people expect, with shouting or slammed doors or tearful confrontations. No, the anger has calcified into something else. Something quieter. It sits in my chest like a stone, heavy but unmoving. I suppose I've gotten used to being left out of my own story. That night, I don't sleep. The laughter from the banquet still echoes in my ears, but it's not that which keeps me awake. It's the silence after. The silence from Mom, from Madeline, from every seat at that table that chose not to see me. I get out of bed and turn on the lamp on my desk. The apartment is small, one bedroom, one living room that doubles as my workspace. But it's mine. No one decorated it for me. No one chose the lamps or hung the curtains. It's all quiet, deliberate, and entirely mine. I sit down and slide open the bottom drawer of my filing cabinet. It groans from disuse. Inside, old folders labeled in faded marker. West Bay LLC, Pine Hill Project, personal assets. Beneath them, copies of contracts, bank statements, emails printed out and highlighted in yellow, my quiet attempts to stay involved in a family that never wanted my fingerprints on their legacy. I pull out the West Bay file and boot up my laptop. The light from the screen glows against my face like a new moon. My fingers tremble slightly, but I steady them. I log into the West Bay LLC document vault. The company name had once included both our initials, J and M Consulting. Remember? That changed. Slowly. Invisibly. Under Ownership and Disclosures, I find the latest PDF. April disclosure, revised. I open it. My name is gone. Not misspelled, not misplaced. Redacted. Where once it said, founding contributor Jocelyn Walters, it now simply says, entity restructured, proprietary ownership consolidated. I stare for a long time. Then I reach for the printed copy I saved years ago, where my name still existed in ink. Side by side, it's irrefutable. I open another file. One I hadn't dared revisit. My old email chain with Mom. I search for the word promise. And there it is. From Cynthia Walters to Jocelyn Walters. Subject, ownership language. Don't worry, I'll keep your name in everything, sweetheart. That's not something I'll let anyone take away. I should have known better. But I wanted to believe her. I always did. Next, I searched the Pine Hill transfer agreement. I'd paid the full down payment on that land, $670,000 wired directly from my business account. But the final deed lists Madeline Walters as the new sole owner. Then I see it. The notary stamp on the final page. At first glance, it looks real. But I zoom in. The date reads January 15th, 2023. But the official wire receipt shows I transferred funds on February 2nd, 2023. Which means the deed was signed before the transaction ever occurred. A retroactive stamp. A forged timeline. I freeze. This isn't just family betrayal. This is fraud. I open my secure folder and create a new file. If needed, and drag the deed, the timestamp evidence, the two versions of the West Bay disclosure, and Mom's email into it. Then I pause. This time, I won't just save it. I'll submit it. As I sit back, staring at the folders arranged like soldiers on my desktop, an unexpected ping lights up my inbox. Subject, just checking in. From Franklin Yates. I blink. Franklin Yates, the investor I met last year at the Urban Redevelopment Conference. The one who shook my hand, looked me in the eye and said, I like quiet builders more than loud talkers. Jocelyn, hope all is well. I noticed some changes with West Bay and had a few questions. Let me know if you're free to chat sometime soon. Franklin. So someone's watching. Someone outside the family. Someone who remembers who really laid the first brick. I close the drawer softly. Silence is no longer kindness. It's systematic suicide. And I've spent enough years dying by inches. I didn't come for the applause. I came for the record. The Ashcroft Community Center stood proudly in the heart of the city. Sleek glass, warm stone, banners in pastel green that read, Investing in People, Building Tomorrow. Dozens had gathered outside for the grand opening. Journalists, council members, even a few minor celebrities from the local news. A string quartet played softly in the background, and camera crews hovered like dragonflies. I arrived 15 minutes after the ceremony had started. No one noticed. That was the idea. I wore a simple black blazer over slate gray trousers. No brand logos, no glitter, no attempt to blend in, just no effort to stand out. I stood near the back, away from the press row. From here, the stage was framed by sunlight, and in the center of it all, of course, was Madeline. Dressed in scarlet, her arms moved like a conductor's baton as she addressed the crowd. "This center is more than brick and glass," she declared. "It's a commitment, a legacy, a family effort." The crowd nodded, some clapped. Her voice oozed confidence, as if she had built every wall with her bare hands. But I remembered differently. I remembered the late-night phone calls about zoning permits, the spreadsheets I cross-checked line by line, the silent hours I spent drafting the original site plan before she even knew what the project was. I didn't need to call for recognition. I just needed accuracy restored. "Excuse me," a voice said quietly beside me. I turned to see a young woman with a notepad and a press badge clipped to her belt. "Naomi Vance," it read. "Community Correspondent, Channel 6. "I don't mean to intrude," she said, peering at me. "But were you involved with the Alder Project?" I blinked. The Alder Youth Housing Project. That was from 4 years ago. My first major community reinvestment initiative. "Yes," I said slowly. "In the earliest stages." Her eyes lit up. "I thought so. I did a profile piece on Alder last year, and your photo was in one of the planning docs. Your name wasn't listed on the new press materials, though." I smiled faintly. That tends to happen. Before she could press further, a familiar voice broke in from behind. "Jocelyn." I turned. Franklin Yates stood there in a tailored navy coat, hands clasped behind his back. His tone was soft, but there was something in his eyes. Resolve, perhaps. "I checked the investment file," he said. "You were the first investor, not Madeline." He waited, as if giving me space to deny it. I didn't. Naomi looked between us, sensing something she didn't yet understand. Franklin stepped closer, drew a business card from his coat pocket, and held it out to me. "If you're willing to speak up," he said quietly, "we'll listen. You're not invisible. Not anymore." I took the card. There was no dramatic music, no sudden gasp from the crowd, just the steady hum of the event continuing on stage, where Madeline now held up a certificate of appreciation, posing with the mayor and beaming. I looked at her. Spotlight shining, cameras flashing. And then I looked down at the card in my hand. This wasn't about dragging her down anymore. It was about reclaiming what had always been mine. I didn't need to knock over her stage. I just had to build my own. And this time, the foundation would be forged with truth, not silence. My sister always knew how to make things look good. A ribbon-cutting photo here, a charity post there. She could charm a room, win over a board, and decorate any project with her smile. Even if the project wasn't hers. Especially then. It's just past midnight. The city outside my window is quiet, the occasional car light flickering past. Inside, the only glow comes from the desk lamp and the blue-white hue of my laptop screen. My dining table is buried in paper, contracts, spreadsheets, and old receipts. On the screen, a PDF file titled West Bay Transfer Agreement, Finalized. Franklin was right. I click into the signature page. There, in black font and digital cursive, is my name, Jocelyn Walters. Except, I never signed it. I checked the timestamp. The metadata says the file was finalized at 3:14 a.m. on a day I was in Switzerland. The IP address doesn't match mine. The signature was copied from an earlier document I did sign, but applied here silently, without consent. My fingers curl slightly. I scroll back through the pages, reading every line like a lawyer. Buried in the legalese. A clause stating that all voting rights and profit allocations would revert solely to the managing partner upon voluntary withdrawal. That managing partner is Madeline. I didn't withdraw. I didn't even know this clause existed. I print out a spreadsheet Franklin sent earlier. Small transfers labeled nominal reallocation, spread out across 2 years. But when I check the routing numbers, the funds lead to a private account under M. Walters. Not a company expense. Not a business reinvestment. Personal gain. Hidden withdrawals. Masked fraud. My phone buzzes. A message from Naomi. There's a dark corner in Madeline's file. We should talk. Tomorrow? I text back a single word. Yes. Then an email arrives. Subject line. You should see this. From Naomi again. An attachment. I open it. A Word document. Draft of a speech titled Reclaiming Community. Date. May 2020. Author. Jocelyn Walters. I wrote this. Every line, every story, every carefully chosen word about impact and integrity. It was meant for an internal summit we never held. COVID canceled it. But just last month, Madeline published a guest column in the Portland Times titled Reclaiming Community. It's the same speech, paragraph for paragraph. She even kept my metaphors. I don't feel rage. I don't throw things. I just print it all out. I gather the documents, label the envelopes. I place them in a thick binder, gray leather. On the cover, I print one word in block letters: reclamation. It's not revenge. It's not even justice. It's memory protected. Then another ping. This time, from someone I haven't heard from in years. Subject: urgent, legal caution. From Thomas H. Kelly, Family Legal Counsel, 2007 to 2018. Jocelyn, if you're preparing to release the files, I advise caution. The current legal team is deeply tied to your mother and sister. Be ready. They will fight back. Hard. I don't reply. I just get up, walk to the glass sliding door, and look at my reflection. Not the girl from the corner table. Not the sister who gave up the mic. Just the woman who remembers everything they tried to erase. I look back at the folder. I'm not here to win. I whisper. I'm here to avoid being erased. And this time, my name stays. When my sister walked into the boardroom, the atmosphere tilted. Not from shock. From familiarity. Madeline knew how to command a room, and her smile was a well-oiled weapon. Warm enough to charm. Distant enough to intimidate. Her heels clicked confidently across the polished floor as she took her seat at the head of the long conference table. The Ashcroft Foundation had spared no expense for this quarterly meeting. Bright lights, fresh floral centerpieces, cameras unobtrusively positioned at 3 angles. Along the wall, rows of observers, investors, legal counsel, and 1 or 2 journalists who had wrangled special invites. One of them was Naomi. I entered last. No fanfare. No entourage. Just a gray folder in my hand and steady breath in my lungs. I wore black. Clean lines. No statement jewelry. I didn't need embellishments. The truth would speak enough. Franklin caught my eye from the second row and gave the smallest nod. I nodded back. The meeting was called to order. Madeline stood, spreading her palms in that signature graceful pose. Thank you all for being here. I want to begin by reaffirming our mission. Community empowerment, integrity in action, and transparency. I've been proud to lead this foundation, initiating every major project since our restructuring in 2019. My eyes didn't flinch. I waited. Including Alder Youth Housing, the Ashcroft Center, and the West Bay Redevelopment Plan. She continued, smiling as if she had laid every brick herself. These initiatives began with my personal vision and were carried forward by all of you. I raised my hand. The room paused. An eyebrow arched from the board chair. I'd like to request permission, I said calmly, to correct the record. The board chair blinked. Ms. Walters, go ahead. I stood, no notes, just the folder. I opened it. 4 years ago, I began. I was one of the founding investors in what is now West Bay. I provided the seed funding for Alder. I wrote the speech Madeline delivered, word for word, in her guest column last month. I have documentation for each of those claims. Murmurs began to rise. I laid out the first set of papers. Here is the original wire transfer from my account to West Bay LLC. Here are the initial land contracts for Pine Hill. My name is on the purchase, not hers. This is the notarized copyright registration of the speech, Reclaiming Community, dated May 2020 under my authorship. A sharp silence fell. I laid out the next document. And here, this is a cash flow report showing project funds routed to a personal account under M. Walters while being reported as nominal donations. Madeline's hands had stilled. I continued, still cool. Finally, a statement from Kingsley Real Estate confirming that the original buyer and investor on both Ashcroft and Alder projects was Jocelyn Walters, not Madeline Walters. A single breath. This is not about glory, I said. This is about reclaiming the truth and the years of labor, authorship, and financial risk that were systematically erased. From the back, someone spoke. A board advisor in a navy suit, eyes sharp as cut steel. So all the honor, media coverage, and corporate sponsorship have been mislabeled for the past 4 years? No one answered. Madeline sat frozen, the color drained from her face. Her mouth parted, but no words came. Her carefully composed expression had shattered into something she couldn't control. Naomi reached forward, quietly. She placed a small microphone recorder on the table. Its red light blinked. Recording. I didn't sit back down. Not yet. Because this wasn't over. I didn't get my place back in the family, but I got my name back. The new sign on the Ashcroft Community Center shimmered in the late spring light. Same building, same mission, different name. The plaque beside the entrance read, "In honor of Jocelyn Reed, founding architect of hope." There were no balloons this time, no string quartet, no grand stage or broadcast press coverage. Just a gathering of community members, those who had benefited from the programs, those who volunteered without applause, and those who simply came to say, thank you. Inside, the walls had been repainted. On one of them hung a framed photograph. Jocelyn, me, standing on the construction site 4 years ago, clipboard in hand, wearing a hard hat slightly too big for my head. It was candid, honest, not polished, not posed, and finally, accurately labeled. Back at my apartment, the backyard glowed with golden sunlight. I'd set up folding tables and twinkling string lights, nothing fancy. A few close friends, some former interns, Naomi and Franklin. Everyone brought something homemade. Someone played an acoustic guitar. It smelled like baked peaches and charcoal. Naomi handed me her phone. It's up. I glanced at the headline of her article. The woman whose name was erased and how she got it back. I smiled, not because of the recognition, because someone saw me and chose to tell it right. Franklin stepped over with a short glass of iced tea. The new sponsorship agreement's in your inbox. No pressure, but I think the fund could scale nationally if you're ready. I nodded. One step at a time. A knock at the door pulled me inside. On the kitchen counter sat a white bakery box with a silver ribbon. I opened it. A small cake. Vanilla, homemade style. The card read, "To you, a daughter worth remembering." Mom, no return address, no apology. But enough to say, she knew. I carried the cake outside and everyone clapped gently, not knowing why. Toward the end of the evening, a little girl, barely 7, tugged at my sleeve. She had wide eyes and a smudge of chocolate on her cheek. "Are you the one who built this center?" she asked. I knelt to her level. "No," I said softly. "I just made sure it has the right name on the door." She grinned and ran off. Later that night, when the candles were out and the last chair folded, I opened my laptop. The screen glowed quietly in the dark. I opened a blank document. Project, rewrite lead, Jocelyn Reed. Because I'm not just fixing one mistake. I'm building something no one else will get to rename. I don't need to hold the microphone anymore. I don't need their table. I made my own. And no one can rewrite history. But you can stop them from misspelling your name in it. She didn't raise her voice or storm the gates. She simply opened a folder and let the truth do the speaking. What was once erased had now been etched back, letter by letter, into the record. justice didn't roar. It arrived like a quiet correction, undeniable, irreversible. Because when injustice is met with unwavering clarity, no borrowed spotlight can outshine the truth. No wall of lies can stand forever against the tide of truth. If this story stirred something in you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And comment 1 if you've ever fought to reclaim your name.